So I want to share with you this crazy interaction I had with a soccer parent the other day. Soccer dad. It's kind of an atypical situation that we would see talked about in the current soccer environment. So let me back up first and just give you a little context. I coach goalkeepers for a local club, and I've been coaching since the age of 17. I started as a goalkeeper, goalkeeping at 10 years old. So I've been doing this a long time, but I'm out there with a group of boys coaching our goalkeepers, and a parent starts to walk by us. And as he walks by our group, he kind of turns and says to me, "You're the best goalkeeper coach I've ever seen." So I kind of, as he says this to me, I go, "Well, I guess I'm probably the only goalkeeper coach you've ever seen," and make a joke. And he laughs, and as he walks on, he says, "No, seriously, you're the best goalkeeper coach I've ever seen." And he's like, "I used to play goalkeeper, and I was out here a few weeks ago. It's been a while since I've been out here, but I was sitting over there against the fence, and I was observing your session with the boys." And he's like, "There were things you were doing, techniques you were talking about, situations, and when you did this and when you did that," he's like, that was amazing. He's like, "I wish I'd had a coach like you when I was playing." And so I said, "Oh, well, thank you," and then went back to the boys. And so that's not the reason I wanted to share that. Is there was a few lessons that I got out of that as I kind of reflected on that interaction. Because as coaches, you don't hear about a lot of those interactions with coaches and parents and players. Nowadays, we hear a lot about the negative interactions with parents and coaches and officials. So I wanted to share that experience with you because it was not typical of what we see today. And there's probably more of that going on than we realize. But here's the lessons I want to share with you. Number one, you never know who's watching. I tell this to my players all the time. You never know who's watching you when you're playing. You think you're just out at practice, but you never know who may be watching: a college coach, a scout, just another parent, someone who will one day maybe be your employer, or the school you're trying to get into, that's the principal or president. You never know who's watching. So always be trying to give your best. And you never know who you might inspire, which is lesson number 2. This gentleman was inspired enough to tell me from what he saw and experienced that the next time he saw me, he hadn't been there in weeks, but to come by when he saw me and say, "You're the best goalkeeper coach I've ever seen." Now, obviously, I'm not the best goalkeeper coach. I'm the best goalkeeper coach he's ever seen. But I'm not the best goalkeeper coach. There's a lot of goalkeeper coaches out there doing something really well. But that was inspiring to me that someone out there just went by and took the time to say, "You're the best goalkeeper coach I've ever met or ever seen." And I don't coach for those interactions. I don't coach for that type of pat on the back or affirmation. That's not why I do it. I'm not the type of person that necessarily needs that. I'm self-assured enough in what I do with the coaching and why I do it that I can handle a lot of maybe the negativity or things that come, or just the silence that comes around coaching at times. But I will tell you that it was inspiring to me and encouraging enough that I thought, you know what, which is lesson number 3, I need to tell people more when I see them doing something well, that they're doing a good job, that I should encourage them more, whether I know them, whether I don't know them, because I think about it all the time of people I see doing something well, simple things, difficult things, that I don't say anything about because I'm busy on my way, or I'm just, I don't think that they will care. But that interaction right there tells me different, because again, I'm not a person that's doing that for that reason, but it was encouraging and inspiring to me. So you don't know by telling someone that and encouraging them that you could be inspiring them. And and even the others around them. Because I'll say also that the boys that were with me got to hear this gentleman saying to their goalkeeper coach, "You're the best goalkeeper coach I've ever seen." So he added value to what I was doing in front of those boys, and he had no investment into this. He doesn't have a child coaching as a goalkeeper working with me. So he added value to that situation with those boys where they can now look at their coach, and maybe that'll help them and help me with coaching them and teaching them, that it just added some value into what I am telling them that they can now buy into a little bit more. And number 4, I would say, is get better at accepting a compliment. So my first reaction when he said, "You're the best goalkeeper coach I've ever seen," was kind of to deflect and make a joke. I must be the only goalkeeper coach you've ever seen. And I don't know why I do that, but I'm just uncomfortable, and I think some of us are that way. We get uncomfortable when someone wants to pay us a compliment. And we're really doing a disservice to them because they went out of their way to pay us that compliment, to encourage us. And we need to do a better job. I need to do a better job at being willing to accept a compliment. I tell that to my son. If somebody says something to you and compliments you, what do you say? At least say thank you. Just a simple thank you is enough. So get better at accepting a compliment. Years ago, I wrote a book titled Get More. And the premise of the book is to help people move from motivation to encouragement, kind of through a formula I use when I'm coaching or leading people. And I focused it for coaches because I thought that was who I really wanted to target it more to. And probably the largest chapter in the book is a chapter on encouragement, that focuses on encouragement. And I'll just read you one sentence really from the book that I said in the book. If you take anything away from this chapter, this will be the best reminder of how important this element is to your success as leader or coach. Encouragement is the fuel that leads to empowerment. Encouragement of players inspires them to both loyalty and commitment, a tandem that facilitates a coach's ability to get results. So when that gentleman encourages me by giving me that compliment, and then it helps me to then pass that encouragement on to the players, inspires me to be more encouraging to them. There was a book many years ago I read titled Well Done, written by Ken Blanchard. And the premise of that book was that catch people doing good. Try and catch people doing good as the way to encourage, inspire them, and teach them. And the reason it's called Well Done was that it actually focused on when you see all the killer whales at SeaWorld doing tricks, how do they get them to do flips and jumps and all these tricks? It followed the teaching methodology of these trainers as they trained these massive killer whales to do these tricks for people, or do these tricks as they're asked to do them, to do all those special things you see them do. It's because the animal wants to do it because of the positive affirmations they're receiving when they do something well, or the behavior that the trainer is trying to get them to do. And so that premise of that book, Well Done, catch people doing something good, is essentially what that gentleman did with me last night. So when you're out there, coaches, dads, and you're seeing people doing something good, let's follow that Well Done premise and try and catch people doing good, and try and use that in your coaching, in your daily life with your children and the people that work with you, to kind of spread a little more positive influence into how we train and coach people, in that catch them doing good. So let me end by saying thank you to the soccer dad that stopped to pay me the compliment of saying I'm the best goalkeeper coach he's ever seen. And I hope that I can continue to live up to that with the players I'm coaching. And as soccer dads, soccer parents, we can look for more ways to complement the coaches and have more positive interactions with the coaches, with the referees, with other parents on the sidelines. How can we take the lesson from this gentleman and kind of spread that around the fields a little more this weekend? And if you're new to the Soccer Dad Nation podcast, be sure to check out some of our earlier episodes where we talk about the GOAT Lionel Messi and the Messi effect and some of what is going on in U.S. soccer right now. And we continue to have some more conversations coming up soon, some interviews with some former professionals, some other soccer dads, and some discussions on what's going on in the youth soccer environment that may be able to help you going forward as you encourage your kids in the game.